One of my favorite and most invested altcoins in this bull market by far has been Injective INJ. And in this video, you're going to find out exactly why I've invested $37,000 into it. From important updates, announcement, on-chain stats, and much more, this by far is going to be the most important Injective video you watch this year. But if you stick around to the end of this video, I'm going to show you where the price of Injective could go in this bull run based on not my personal opinions, based on data. Now, I know what some of you are thinking to yourselves, why has this guy invested $37,000 into one single project? Well, I'm going to show you why I am extremely bullish on Injective. As a matter of fact, it ticks most of my boxes in terms of what makes up a good coin. Yes, there is some downsides. There is some things Injective is lacking in, which I will get into. It's a fair, unpaid for, unsponsored review. My disclaimer 2 seconds ago shows you guys if I do get paid for reviews. I don't do them often, but if I do, it's always disclosed. I'm not getting paid for this. Okay, so there's always going to be negatives with every project, and I'm going to highlight some of them in this video. But again, like I said, what makes me so bullish on this seemingly, possibly for some of you, random coin? Well, first of all, it's hitting 5 major narratives. The thing with cryptocurrencies is they're kind of like boats. And what happens when the tide goes in and out? Boats go up and boats go down with the tide. As they say, a rising tide lifts all ships. Now, the thing is, these tides are called narratives, like Layer 1, made in the USA coins, DeFi coins. So if BlackRock comes out, makes some really good post, or NVIDIA comes out and says, hey, we're investing into X, Y, and Z, what's that going to do for the AI or real-world asset respective narratives or group of coins in crypto? As we know, it's going to make them pump, okay? And so by hitting a group of these narratives, it allows Injective to kind of like raise itself with most of the popular tides or narratives in crypto. So that makes me extremely bullish. But Injective goes one step further because they don't just associate with these narratives. They don't just say, oh, well, we're going to call ourselves real-world assets and make some BS update that just allows people to think we do. They're actually making moves. And again, I want to go into all of these so-called moves and what's happening here in just 1 second. There is a lot to discuss, like I said before. But if you're wondering why is Injective, like what makes it different to any other layer 1 project, okay? The main claim to fame here is how developers can come on and build projects. You see, if you're a new project wanting to be built on Ethereum or Injective or whatever other layer 1, okay, Cardano, the thing is you got to kind of start fresh. You got to buy, you got to get funding. You got to, hire out new team members that know the different coding, the different, virtual machines. It's expensive, it's time consuming, and it's not fun. Injective says, hold my beer. We're going to give you a whole bunch of these things called modules, which allows developers to literally grab, if they want to make an NFT project, grab the NFT module and plug and play it. It's as simple as that. And why this is so important, without going into the boring details, I might lose some people, is it really promotes this very healthy flywheel. This is a flywheel that layer 1 projects like Ethereum, like Injective, like Cardano, like Solana, they have to do this really well. If they don't, they just won't be a long-term project. So Injective hits this really well by doing these module things, because what they do is they promote third-party developers to build utility, which is applications, very easy. Now, when you have applications, guess what that brings in? Brings in more people, builds a community. Now, this is the very important part of the flywheel that most projects don't like to hit. They just try to focus on, we're a super fast layer 1. We're a layer 1 that has a whole bunch of funding. Come look at us. But it's not sustainable. That's why a lot of these layer 1s are going out of business. Before we move on, we are giving away $1,000 worth of Injective tokens over the next 48 hours. So we're going to be doing this for anyone that joins up for free into level 0 and trades on either Bitunix or Femex. We'll be doing a separate giveaway for both. So over the next 48 hours, as long as you sign up to either Bitunix or Femex, you will get up to $500 for each of these. If you do both, you might actually win twice. So either way, as long as you trade any amount on futures, you will be in the competition. Plus, we have our amazing rewards we also have on offer. And the rewards are running right now with Bitunix, where you can win up to $9,000 US or a share of that. And also getting free deposit bonuses when you sign up with Femex as well. So it's not just possibly 1 reward, it's not just 2, it's up to 3 and even 4 bonuses for going ahead. Again, guys, up to $1,000, 500 each for the next 48 hours. With that said, I want to now jump into some of the metrics to start things off. Okay, what's kind of happening on the on-chain stuff? Now, we can see here the TPS is pretty good, right? So transactions per second. This is a decent metric to gauge, are people using the project? I don't give a two craps about being the fastest layer one or be the fastest TPS. It just needs to be, I believe, like top 10 and sustainable. So there is people using it. You can see Injective here is number ranked 9 right now at an active 42 transactions per second, which if you compare it to other projects, okay, it's not doing all that bad. It's kind of on par with everything up to Aptos over here. Obviously, these things do fluctuate and change. It's also one of the best revenue producing projects. It's ranked 12 down here on Artemis out of all the top revenue-based, layer ones and also layer twos and also things like other protocols. But if you isolate just the layer one projects, so coins like Cardano, Solana, Injective, and Ethereum, okay, it actually comes in 7th here, which is really, really good. It actually beats a Near Protocol and Avalanche. And if you guys stay tuned, I want to make a reference to Avalanche here in the previous cycle because it, I think, will do better than what Avalanche did with the price prediction. The net flows by chains across DeFi bridges. Guess what? We can see Injective down here in a rank 4 number spot. Net flows over a 3-month period comes in at $120 million net, which is over double that of Solana. Okay, a lot more than Hyperliquid and so on. It is crushing the competition. A lot of inflows. Daily active addresses, while it isn't the most in crypto, it's sitting at about 81,000 right now, daily active, which is really, really good. Again, it's not the highest by far, but you can see here, it's almost double that of Avalanche. And again, I'm going to draw some comparisons to Avalanche here in just one moment. And it also has a lot more revenue than most other projects. Okay, you can see right here, 6 million roughly, which is more than Aptos, more than Sui, more than Ripple, and so on. It's reached over 2.4 billion transactions. It's got over 2,000 assets, and it has over half the network staked, locked up in it. The only issue I have with this project, and it really is a real big bummer for me, is that it doesn't have much in terms of TVL, in DeFi at least. So there isn't a lot of TVL, and I think the main reason why is because you can see here the stablecoin market cap is 26 million right now, which I believe is a big thing they need to focus down on. This is a massive drawback for me. If this was 10 times larger, I would still be kind of like, they need to pick up speed a little bit here. It's 10 times smaller than that, so they really have work to do in this case. And I believe some of their introductions here, particularly with this Ethereum mainnet upgrade, we'll start to see this begin to climb. Okay, but here's probably one of the most important reasons why I am so bullish on Injective and what made me so interested in this project to begin with. Now, as we know, degens, people love burning, right? People love deflation. No one likes inflation, okay? The thing is, Injective has a really, really unique burn mechanism that will allow this project to very soon be deflationary. And that is a weekly auction they do where all of the fees generated in the project from the last week, it's a weekly auction, right? So that includes the Injective token itself, so the Injective Protocol fees, and also any of the fees in the ecosystem applications as well, okay? So what happens is over the week, we begin to get all these fees accrue into this pot. And essentially, you can bid on this pot and try winning it. Now, obviously, it makes sense because if the pot's $100,000 and you bet $90,000 and you win that, you actually take home $10,000. So it's a good opportunity here to arbitrage and make some money. And so what happens is there's a flywheel that plays out here. And we're doing a lot of flywheel stuff here in this video, aren't we? So essentially, as the ecosystem grows and these fees increase, also as the bull run does progress, okay, what's going to happen is the size of the auctions will increase. And so what happens is people bid to try and win this pot. And it's the money that you bid, it's the Injective that you actually have to bid on this. If you are the winner, that gets burnt and you take home the pot of Injective, and maybe it's also a pot of other ecosystem application tokens as well. And so when this happens, you burn and burn and burn. They've almost burnt 7 million Injective to date, which is, as a matter of fact, quite a lot of money. That's almost 96 million US dollars. And so, of course, as you burn more, the network becomes deflationary, right? And so when that happens, degens love it. Okay, and their interest increases. When the interest increases, it doesn't just increase from degens, it increases from projects. And so you get more projects building on Injective, which creates more fees. More fees creates the bigger auction pot. Bigger auction pot creates more people interested, betting more, all right, bidding more, should I say, which burns more. And this flywheel kind of goes around and around in a massive circle. But I wanted to see exactly with real numbers what that looks like on a chart. So I've taken a good few hours to plot this all. I'd love a like on this video for doing this, by the way. I plotted from the very first auction to where we are right now down here. And I wanted to see if these auctions followed the, price and basically how much we're roughly doing on average. And you can see here, on average, we're roughly burning 35,000 injectives per week. And recently, we've stabilized around the 10,000 burns per week. The reason why it is so much is because we had a massive outlier of 5 million injective burn over here as part of one of their largest token burns in history for one of their mainnet updates some time ago. So that did skew the data, but nevertheless, it's roughly speaking right now 10,000 per week, on average 35. Now, we're roughly getting into circulation about 98,000 injective per week at a 5% APY. So 5% APY is roughly what I've picked here because they have upper and lower bounds for where inflation can move. And to cut you the boring story and all of it, they have reduced where these bounds move in a recent update here, where they have made the deflation possibilities here 400% better. Essentially, by Q1 2026, the lowest inflation can go is 4%, the highest it can go is 7%. So I've roughly taken the average at 5%. And again, to cut you a long story short, we're still roughly printing net 63,000 new injective tokens per week. So we are kind of far away from being deflationary right now. But again, this is a very good sign to see that at least we are right now with, I think, a limited ecosystem here, burning quite a lot. Okay, so now I'm going to rattle off all the recent updates and announcements very quickly because I want to get to the price prediction. I just want you guys to be up to speed with Injective here. So you can also understand why I do think Injective personally can go to some of these levels the data also does support. So first of all, some really big updates here in the real world asset side of Injective, which I think they're doubling down on here. In September of last year, they got officially invited to join the coalition of real world asset projects in and out of crypto with Coinbase and Circle here. And essentially, it's rewardasset.xyz. So it's, again, a very important, I think, group to be assigned with and associated with here. You can see A16Z and Wisdom Tree are also a part of this coalition. Essentially, their goal is to advance real-world assets and DeFi. And I think Injective's really trying to push their I assets here, which are essentially a new class of real-world asset derivatives that bring traditional markets onto Injective in a fully on-chain, composable, and capital-efficient form. Long story short, what they're saying here and what they're trying to do with I assets is taking these sort of like real-world assets, right? So people might tokenize NVIDIA's stock. But up until pretty much recently, you've taken that stock and you've had to bring it into crypto. First of all, over-collateralize that. So you have to pretty much put up like a whole bunch more NVIDIA stock to mint a whole lot less on-chain, which just doesn't make sense, of course. And when it's on-chain, you can't really do too much with it, right? You can't send it to a different network. You can't use it, lock it up in a DeFi protocol. You can't earn APY on it. It's kind of just stuck there doing nothing. It's just cool to look at. Cool idea, bro, right? So let's say, for example, I wanted to make a brand new project on Injective that wanted to tokenize NVIDIA's stock, but then use that in some way to allow people to, trade on an exchange, for example, and also allow people to lock it up, all right? Lock it up and earn some yield. Well, I can do that by simply dragging and dropping a few of these modules. These are legit modules, by the way. And once I've done that, I can go send that I asset natively, by the way, not like some weird wrapped token that has no liquidity somewhere else. I can just send that real, true NVIDIA asset, that derivative, to any network and use that in any protocol that may support that particular derivative, which is pretty incredible. This really does unlock TradFi and crypto. Traditional finance and DeFi through Injective is going to just feel like the same experience. Anyway, there's a lot of great things that have come from this I asset upgrade, and just this year alone, you can see some of these things here. First of all, the first tokenized compute of NVIDIA's H100 market, which means, yes, you can literally bet on NVIDIA's H100 chips being used or not. They're in use, you can make money, or also on the way down if you want to short as well. Pretty incredible stuff. A similar thing here with SBET, which is the largest Ethereum treasury. Sharp Link's got a bit of attention thanks to Tom Lee recently. It's got $1.1 billion of Ethereum it actually currently holds, and you can again bet on this going up and down. Also, the Magnificent Seven stocks have also been tokenized, and they have the first tokenized equity index products. This includes their tokenized AI index, which includes a bunch of cryptocurrencies and also traditional stock market companies that are focused on AI into a single index. This also includes the first ever index that tokenizes BlackRock's Buildle Fund. Again, you can bet on it going up or down. And lastly, they've tokenized a whole bunch of individual stocks in a single index. Again, so you can kind of bet on the whole stock market, essentially. If I just show you, look at all these stocks in this index. It just goes on and on and on forever. I don't even want to really scroll down to the very end of that. Okay, so they've done a lot, and it's all highlighted here. All that tokenized fun aside, they've also somewhat been tokenized themselves. I mean, I guess if you want to call an ETF tokenization, obviously not really, it's in reverse. Either way, Canary Capital filed for the first staked Injective ETF. This is important, okay, because it's a staked ETF, which means that if this does go through, okay, essentially you'll be able to earn yield on your Injective ETF, which is pretty incredible. Also, Trump's planning on opening the floodgates here for all the 401k plans in the US, which are retirement plans, to be able to buy up Injective and, of course, stake it if they so wish to. Okay, so like they say here, it's pretty incredible if this actually goes through altogether. Again, I think a lot of crypto projects will have ETFs. However, of course, not many do right now, and most importantly, I don't know if they'll all be staked, so this will be quite cool. Now, all this is really cool because obviously if you're a traditional company wanting to, come into crypto and leverage the 24/7 nature, the democratized access to finance, okay, you still have to kind of know a little bit about coding and come on, and like I said, even if you have these great modules, you still have to build a bit of a team. But what Injective is doing now is kind of blending real-world assets and now AI, and they're introducing something called iBuild, which will allow anyone to build an application with just natural language prompts. So if you know what Caffeine AI is for ICP, it's kind of like that, but for Injective. Now, in addition, they have something called iAgent, which is like kind of an AI plug-and-play module as well, which is, as you might imagine, it's an AI agent. I believe they're working with Fetch here and their amazing AI agents to incorporate this into Injective. So it is top-class agents we're dealing with here, no sort of GPT re-hypothesized and plugged in and you're going onto some Web 2 service, okay? It's legit. And so that's why I quite like this. You have a whole bunch of features that can come from this as well. You can, text and prompt within this AI module as you would here, plugging and playing over here, and it can, do, cross-chain transfers and whatever else you so really want it to do. They're also working with Sonic here to build a kind of hub in between Solana and Injective and all of Injective's networks as well to allow developers to build cross-chain applications using AI and have AI at the center of that as well. So again, there's a lot to rattle off here. I mean, they're really doing a lot in every single direction. Those who are keeping a keen eye on Injective like myself, it's very hard to keep up with all these updates because it just seems like it's relentless and doesn't stop. Just like this, which is their Ethereum mainnet, which allows us to kind of like have this Ethereum virtual machine like side chain that's extremely fast, completely compatible with Ethereum, and also completely compatible with Injective. It's incredible. They're already seeing a lot of these EVM applications be built on this. And this is what I was saying before. This is what they need to help increase TVL. I would assume the TVL on this new mainnet will synchronize with Injectives here. That's what I would like to see ideally. But it's a really big step in the right direction. So you can just see this flywheel being built. They're super focused here and making it very easy for developers to build on it. And you can even see that with their recent announcement working on a joint accelerated program with Cointelegraph here to basically give funding to new projects built on Injective. Not just that, but also media support. This is a really big aspect, I think, that will bring in a lot of developers because that's a big problem when you're trying to build a new coin. It could be the best project in the world, but if no one knows about it, you ain't going to have anyone buying the coin. So for all these reasons and many more, it's no surprise to me that Injective ranks a 3 score out of a total of 4 score in looking at the market dominance of the coin versus the market in other altcoins. It's very hard to get a 3 out of 4. So again, there's no shock to me. It's doing really, really well right now. It's holding up quite well. Now, forecasting price, to cut a long story short, to do this without any of our subjective inputs, we have to forecast a global market cap. I'm using two ranges, low of 8 trillion, high of 14 trillion. And as we know, most altcoins 5 to 10x their market dominance at the height of the bull run when they have their blow off top, essentially. They kind of like draw liquidity out of the market, and that's how they kind of go up and again, gain dominance. And so what we do is we kind of like multiply the global market cap by the dominance low growth, which is between a 5 and a 10x. And so we get some dominance numbers at these different market cap ranges. And so we get some market caps overall. We then take the market caps and divide it by the supply, and we get some numbers. Now, these numbers here, there's 4 numbers particularly, and again, it's a big range, but I do think it's broken up quite well here. I think a realistic case is between 200 to 400. That's between a 21 billion and 40 billion market cap. Now, if we compare it to Avalanche in the previous cycle, you can see this is Avalanche website in the previous. There was nothing special about this. It was just a fast, eco-friendly blockchain. Nothing unique about it, okay? Definitely wasn't hitting a major narrative of the last bull run. And if Injective goes to Avalanche's previous all-time high, that's actually a $300 token. So it's a 30 billion market cap roughly, right? So I definitely see that's possible here. That's right in the middle of the realistic range. I do have my own personal prediction, by the way, but that's for the guys in the private community. I do think that it's possible to go in the range of, 4 to 500 here. And where I think it gets to very bullish, so like best case for Injective and the market, we kind of go from a $500 to $800 token price. So I wouldn't bet on that. If your prediction's up here somewhere, I would have a reality check. I think, anything lower than $400 makes sense. Lower is better. Don't get me wrong. Don't be a hopium kind of person and set your price prediction or your exit levels way up here. Get out as soon as you possibly can. But yeah, I think anywhere from roughly a 16x from here to, it's going to sound crazy, basically a 29x is realistic, is possible. Again, that would pretty much put it roughly on par with Avalanche in the previous cycle. And as I said, Avalanche didn't really have all these amazing, massive, great features about it that makes Injective a really good contender for this bull market. So let me know what you think down below though. Where's your price target for Injective, and does this coin interest you at all? Let me know. I'll talk to you guys very soon. Take good care. Bye-bye.